Welcome back to the FlairBar.com show. We are with an old friend of bartending and flair bartending and mixology, just an old friend of ours, Travis Kuhn. Travis, how you doing?
Hey, Rob.
Great seeing you, my friend.
Likewise, man.
Last time I think I saw you was in Las Vegas, Battle of the Flair Gods 2, and you did an amazing trick at Legends, if I remember right, where you put the full cocktail on a pool cue triangle and spin it around. It was great. And then when you did it again at Battle of the Flair Gods, I'll let you tell the story.
I have to relive this again. But basically, I had the drink inside the triangle, and I was doing it above my head while I was doing a column of bottles going through it. And then while I was focusing on the column going through, I let it go a little bit wide, and it snagged on a curtain behind us. It said Bacardi. It was like one of these branded items, and it snagged on that, and it just shot the drink out. It hit Chico Garcia square in the face. He was a total professional about it until I finished the round, and then after I could see he was pretty grumpy. I thought he might just kill me.
Yeah, but he, like you said, without missing a beat. I remember the drink hitting him, and he was still in sync without a beat, and then as soon as it was done, he's like, everything. But you know what? We can laugh about it now. And Chico, if you're out there, we'll do a shot together and share those experiences. But that was then. What are you doing now?
Now I operate like a mobile bar service in Cape Town, South Africa. That's where I'm from. And yeah, I mean, like the mobile bar scene in Cape Town is massive. Not just Cape Town, but South Africa. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in Europe or the United States. Like you guys here, you just don't put the sort of effort that we put into mobile bars. It's crazy what we do over there. I mean, we've built mobile bar units that are unbeatable almost anywhere else in the world except where we all are. I mean, there's probably about 5 or 6 different companies all offering the same thing with their own hardware, their own bars. So the competition there is really, really strong. Much like just flair in general. Like I would say, the flair is pretty weak in South Africa because we never flare against anybody else other than ourselves, you know. But meanwhile, you get all the people here, they're flaring against each other all of the time, and because of that, they're sharpening their skills and they're much better than we are. Almost in the mobile bar industry, that's what we are. Sometimes when I come here, I think to myself, wow, they don't even have mobile units like we have, and things that fold down in all these crazy ways with lights and all sorts of things. But I do that now. I've been doing that for like 7 years. I worked for a company called Brand House for 4 years, which is like Diageo's arm in South Africa, like local distributors. I did that for 4 years as the Jose Cuervo brand ambassador, and then I just thought I'm going to leave that, and I wanted to focus on flair. I was actually doing really well in the local flair scene at that time. There was like the Sky Global Challenge. It just kicked off. I entered it, I won it in South Africa, but very nice. But I was working for Jose Cuervo, so it was, you know, it was like an ultimatum. You must either work here at Diageo, because I was in the paper and I was wearing Sky apparel and I had the lanyard and the shirt, and they said, look, you know, you must pick one. If you want to flare, you must flare, and if you want to work for us, you must work for us. So unfortunately, I just said, well, I want to flare. So I ended up leaving them. And
wow! Putting your balls out there.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough decision because, you know, and the salaries are good, and, you know, and I was just starting out a family. I had a 6-month-old baby daughter girl at that time, and to leave my stable job and go and like fend for yourself like a lion in the jungle was pretty tough. But yeah, I mean, I made the decision, and I've never looked back because I won every Sky Global Challenge I had in South Africa from there on to 2013. So it was good. I got to see the world. I mean, we were in like the Sky Globe Challenge was amazing. We went to Monte Carlo twice.
I've seen the videos on that.
I mean,
if I'm not mistaken, you arrived in a limo and they got a helicopter over to the event.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It was like, you know, superstar. I mean, you know, like a kid from South Africa, you're not, you know, ever going to be in that situation ever again. So I never looked back. It was maybe a tough decision at the time, but once I went for it, you know, I got to see more of the world than I ever did before then anyway, you know, and I had other people pay for it, because before, when I was at Vegas for Legends, when I met you and I saw you and I did the Battle of the Flair Guards, I was all on my own. You know, you have to pay yourself to get to the United States, you know, and rand is like 10 to 1 to the dollar. That sucks. But, you know, then I was really fortunate and I got to see the best places in the world.
Awesome. Now, considering your flair background and considering your, obviously, your craft bartending skills, do you consider yourself a flair bartender, mixologist, bartender? What are your thoughts on that whole scenario and different titles? And
yeah, I see this debate pop up every now and again, and there's a publication back home in South Africa that tackled it quite well. It's called the Muddle Magazine. It's doing pretty well, and they've got international guest writers writing them all the time. And Tom Dyer actually writes a regular article in it, and it's a great article that he wrote about you know, flair versus mixology. And you know, I read it, and I really I love the way that he put it, and you know, I stand behind what he says, because he feels the same way that I do, that I just don't see the need to sort of segregate bartenders in this way. You know, like I met someone from Australia yesterday, the guy doing Mr. Bitters down in the thing now. I said, hey, do you know Clinton Weir? Because Clinton Weir's from South Africa, from Cape Town, where I'm from, and we're obviously good friends. And he said, yeah, Clinton Weir, yeah, he's that flair bartender. And I was like, wow, this, you know, it was just strange to me why he says, oh, he's a flair bartender, because he isn't. I mean, he competed in lots of mixology competitions and did really well in them too. So, you know, there's flair bartenders that make drinks, there's mixologists that flair. You know, can we not all just be like bartenders? I mean, I've just never seen a flair bartender exclude a mixologist in the same way that mixologists exclude flair bartenders. Like flair is like the cavalier guys; they can't really be part of the mainstream, you know, or bartending culture. They've got to be like this rogue entity. That I just think that, you know, and Tom Dyer said it. You know, just all bartenders. You know, if you want to flair and make good drinks, then do it. If you just want to be a mixologist, then do that. But you know, if you can do both, then do both. I don't see why you can't do both.
I agree. We've had lots of conversations about this. We had Robbie Flair on earlier and we talked about the same thing. In my opinion, it's just a professional bartender, the complete bartender.
Yeah.
You bartend first, and just like the FDA says, whoever's first, and then you entertain, you make our cocktails at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's all about the guest experience.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and you don't have to go so wild on the flair. I understand, you know, you're not going to be like, I mean, Nicholas St. John also, he said this many times, I don't know why we're doing like 5-bottle juggle, because you're never ever going to make a drink that requires that many pours. So I get that, but in the working environment, you're not going to be busting 5-bottle flair. You know, I mean, Rado just, you know, probably not putting those moves behind his regular bar that he works at, you know, but they are like small moves that are flair. Even the way that you speak, the way that you interact with your customers, I mean, that can all be flair. You don't have to go wild and start busting a 5-minute set if somebody orders a gin and tonic. You know, you can just do a quick something, and that's all for the guest experience, as you said.
I agree 100%. And a great thing about that, and embracing that idea, is the United States Bartenders Guild right now. We finally formed a flair committee with them this past year, and the focus of it is going to be on just that, the guest service, not the 3, 6, 7, 8 object exhibition flair, but more about the working flair and the subtle pours and the subtle moves and the fun stuff you can do, not just with tins and bottles, but with yourself behind the bar to create better guest service. And the cool thing about that is the competition for that is coming up in South Florida, and it's going to be 50% flair, 50% mixology, and the cocktails will be blind judged by the USBG board.
Okay,
so
wow.
It's really going to showcase that complete bartender.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. You know, that you should be able to do all, really. You know.
And the winner of that competition is actually going to go up against you in South Africa later in the year.
Yeah.
Because I heard you won the IBA South Africa. What was the actual challenge there?
Yeah, well, you know, how the IBA works is that they've got 57 guilds all around the world. You know, the USBG is the United States Bartenders Guild, and we've got SABA, which is the South African Bartenders Association. If you go to the UKBG, is United Kingdom, and so on and so forth. And you have to sort of qualify in your country, in your guild, in your bar association. And then once you do that, then all of the winners go to the IBA, which is the International Bartenders Association. That's the point that you're at now. But we've already done that, so we've gone through all of our regional heats and provincial stuff, and we went through the national one as well. So we already know who's going to compete in the mixology, and we know who's going to compete in the flair, because there's two titles that you can get, world titles. You know, you can't compete in both. You must compete in either. So I'll be there. Obviously in Cape Town, I live there, but not because I live there, but because I went through our national round. So I will be there. And then another guy named Coach Schlechter, he's the sort of national mixologist, you know, that flair champion. It's me.
Nice. So good luck, and hopefully you guys will be seeing Kurt's face as a possible winner.
Yeah, Kurt's a great bartender. I think he's never really got his just desserts when it comes to international stuff. He was at the IBA, which was in Puerto Rico as well.
That's where I seen him. Like you're saying his name, I know him from somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, he's done exceptionally well. I mean, as far as South African bartending goes, when I first started, he was like the granddaddy, you know, like, and now he's still in the game, he's still doing it, he's still passionate about what he does, and I mean, he's just really a great guy, a great bartender, you know, sort of an inspiration still, even to myself. And I mean, so long in the game myself now, I'd be considered like long in the tooth, like he is, you know, but he's even more so than I.
Question I have for you is IBA rules, especially on mixology competitions. I'm still learning it. I learned a lot at Pan Am, and my eyes were really open. To me, the rules for judging IBA mixology and even flair competitions are, I don't want to say counterproductive, but a lot different than actually being behind the bar. at least in America. Is it the same for you in South Africa? Is it a little different? What are your thoughts on that?
In our one, it's a little bit different because we still, I would say that the craft cocktail still is expressed in our one. But when I go to the IBA, even great bartenders back home where I'm from, like say Ryan Duvenard, he's a great bartender and he makes craft cocktails where I'm from. But when he went to the IBA, the highest that he ever placed there was 7. And that's great placing. But for someone like that, and I see the guys who make the drinks that win this thing, and I'm so shocked that somebody who makes a well-balanced, sourish cocktail doesn't get anywhere. But the guys that are like pounding it with just sweet things win. And I get the impression, and this might get me in a little bit of trouble, I don't know, but I get the impression that it's the sponsors of the IBA, because a lot of it is syrup and liqueur sponsors, and you have to use these things, So a lot of them are like putting in like Rutin and then Winin and then Chaffard, all in the same drink, you know what I mean? So that is promoting the drinks to be sweeter, but it's completely fine to be that. I mean, I'm not blaming them at all. Obviously, very, very happy that they sponsor these things and they highly appreciate it. But what I'm thinking is that the bartenders themselves that are competing in these competitions have not learned how to balance drink with some kind of sour element like lime or lemon. I just, they just don't do it that well. And they love cream and
it's a great point. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe you guys won't, because I mean, America seems to be very, very on top of the craft cocktail as well. So I'm sure that your UKBG competition will be full with, very spirit-forward drinks that are, got different flavor elements. Say smoke, and I mean, a lot of the rules that are in the IBA, they don't allow you to be super creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't really add, say, smoke to your cocktail in this way. I mean, to do a foam. Not that I'm big on molecular mixology at the moment, but let's just say you had to do a foam, you wouldn't be able to pump a foam on there because you'd have to make it like on stage.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy, but it kind of takes away from the creativity that you can express, and just narrows you down to these things. But sometimes I find that is more of a true challenge, because then you can only use these certain things. You have to use them in the correct way, using the right mills, the right drinks, and that can be a challenge in itself, or more so a challenge.
I agree with you on that. It's funny you say that, because when Robbie Flair and I went to Pan Am last year and did the IBA comp, I took those rules, and it was definitely a challenge, and I wanted to do some fun and showcase a little molecular. So actually, during my Flair round, I did a quick infusion using an ISI whip with Graham Marnier and some tea. During my Flair round, Flair the ISI was showcasing, you can do this. Let's have some fun with this.
Yeah.
And it was great seeing the Flair bartenders in the crowd clap and appreciate what I was doing with the mixology.
Yeah.
And the mixologists were really blown away by the Flair. It was great seeing that collaboration, like people like, this is what is possible in the world of bartending.
Absolutely. Well, maybe Rob, you're bartender 0.20, because
No, I wouldn't give you that much credit.
Doing it.
No, I'm just trying to just spread the love. But there's a lot of great examples before me, like we were saying earlier, like 12 and Ellis and Brian Lukemas, Ken Hall, all those guys. At least in here in America, you got a lot of great guys in the UK as well as doing this way before me.
Yeah.
I'm just a watered down version, but hopefully one that you can swallow. I don't know why I just said that. But speaking of swallowing, I think we got a question in the audience from Robbie Flair. Robbie, what question do you have?
Oh, God. I don't know. Shoot, I was ready for that.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I was mistaken. Robbie's actually had a lot to drink. But speaking of drinks, do you mind if we come back from this break and actually make us a cocktail?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. We'll be back right after this.